public comments?
Okay. Really quickly, there was an article, it was well written, Emily, thank you, regarding public comments. There's some concerns or confusion about how we do public comments as a school board. Wanted to cover that policy briefly. John's here. We're going to have him visit briefly with you. He's promised me a 1-minute synopsis of we'll see. I've yet to see that happen. But a 1 minute in an attorney's world is different than 1 minute in mine. I've learned that. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you. Give you, if you don't mind doing the intro, then I'll flip through some slides here really quick and explain a few things.
No problem. The law in the state of Missouri does not require you to have any kind of public comment section. The only thing that you are required to do is to do business in the open, to do business publicly, to provide a place, and Joplin Schools does more than that. We're broadcast on television, and we allow the public and bring them in and encourage them to come. And then you also have a policy that allows for comments on agenda items, which is over and above what the law requires.
Ooh, 30 seconds.
Wow, that was impressive. Now you put the pressure on.
Also, is there a way that you can ask to be put on the agenda also if you have something that you want to discuss?
Yes, I was limited in time, but the policy actually goes further and allows you to address all school board members. You provide on your webpage email links. You can also request an item be placed on the agenda. All of that is things that this board has chose to do to communicate to the public and allow the public an opportunity to communicate with you. None of that is required under the law.
Okay, so just running through a few slides that we put together here. There's actually 7 opportunities for public input in board meetings, and I know the board already realizes this. This is probably as much for the community as anything. We do have a grievance procedure that's established through policy. The board, as part of policy, believes that many issues can be resolved through communication with teachers, administrators, and other staff at the lowest levels possible. And so sometimes, and we've had an incident here recently, and I'll just, Jeff, you got a phone call or an email from a parent related to a transportation issue, we got, they wanted to speak to the board about the issue. How do we address the board? Jeff called me. We jumped on it. Jason and the transportation department were all over it. And I received an email tonight from Ron Wilkin, our area supervisor, the parent that we'd worked with, and sent a letter, thank you letter. This has never happened to the governor, thanking him for letting them know what we've been doing here in Joplin and how we supported their family and how much they appreciate the work that we did. Wow. So we were able to, alleviate that problem at the lowest level possible, and it doesn't have to always reach the school board, but there is a process that a person can go through if they don't get satisfaction at the various levels through that process. Number 2, written correspondence. All board members, I think, have received correspondence at some point or another. Written correspondence may be directed to the board through the superintendent, which happens for consideration at a meeting. Copies of all correspondence directed to the board will be made available to all board members, which we do. When we receive a letter that's addressed to the board, we scan it in and send it to you all so that you have those. Agenda items. Item number 3, any member of the public who wishes to have an item placed on the agenda will present the request in writing to the superintendent or designee. Must be received 5 days prior to the meeting so that we can prepare for the meeting. The board reserves the right to impose reasonable restrictions on the number of items presented. So if somebody brings a laundry list and says, I want to talk about these 10 things, we may say, no, let's keep it to 1 this month, or 2. We've got a long agenda. The number of spokespersons. We can also determine how many people are allowed to speak to a particular item. The allotted speaking time, which we've established is 3 minutes. The reschedule or ask to reschedule that particular item for the next meeting. As an additional board bullet point, within the policy, the board may refuse to address an issue that has not gone through the appropriate grievance procedure. Again, trying to get those issues resolved at the lowest level possible, because at the end of the day, we're going to be the ones administratively that have to fix the problem anyway. And so this board's always been really good about redirecting those concerns to the administration so we can work through those. Number 4, public hearings. The board holds public hearings to receive input on matters of concern to the community. Examples include, like what we did tonight, annual tax rate hearing, which gives folks the opportunity to come, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but I think that they don't even have to sign up to speak at a hearing. They can just come and speak at a hearing. And so we have that opportunity for people that have concerns about the tax rate. And this evening, we went through all the appropriate postings. We didn't have anybody that came and spoke to that issue. Our annual school calendar adoption, we have a hearing, special hearing for that. That became a mandate, I think, just, I don't know, it's been the last 6-7 years, I think, that became law. And then we also have special hearings, redistrict hearing, March of 2013 is an example of opportunities the board has given to the public on issues of concern. Public comments, we also, number 5, have a specifically designated time set aside for public comments at regular meetings of the Board of Education. This board had chosen at one point in time, if I remember right, after I came here, public comments were at the very end of the board meeting, and this board chose to move that up prior to to the consent agenda, so that people had the opportunity to speak to anything that was on the agenda before an actual vote was made. So that was a good move on the part of the board. But again, those following guidelines apply: establishing a time limit for public comment period. No individual will be permitted to speak more than once during that period. We establish a uniform time limit for fairness for each speaker, which is 3 minutes, and we keep that public speaking part only to those items posted on the agenda. And again, an agenda item can be requested to be posted by a community member if they so choose, but it needs to follow those procedures that we talked about earlier. Communication with the Board of Education, which I know happens as well. You go to Joplin Schools website, www.joplinschools.org, click on the Board of Education link, and it'll bring you to this good-looking group here. And their email contact as well as their phone numbers are posted, and that happens. So that's one way they can contact. And then item 7, opportunities for public input. We have community involvement in decision-making. It's in policy. We want community members involved in decision-making. We have multiple opportunities. We have special committees, which include strategic planning team, action teams, facility planning teams, design teams for new construction, and we also have Right Future Site Councils, even at the local level, if they want to have input as to what's going on inside of schools as well. So there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved and for people to have their voices heard, so they can feel like their voice is valued in the Joplin schools. So I'll just, that's a quick presentation. That's our public comments policy in a nutshell. We do have 7 ways, I believe, that we have that allow for open dialogue and opportunities for the community to get involved in our schools. John, anything you want to add to that?
I think a lot of districts don't have as many opportunities as the Joplin schools has. Not that it matters what other districts do, but the Joplin schools gives plenty of chances for people to come and be heard.
Also, I called Susan Goldhammer, who's the attorney with MSBA, Missouri School Boards Association, about this topic. And one of the things that she recommended was that as with the board members, and I know several of us have already made this transition with the new website, is that we also have a school email at joplinschools.org that our email goes through. And not our personal email account. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that was one of the recommendations that Susan made to us.
So again, if you'd like to do that, I think the best point of contact to make that happen would be Kelly. Is that right? Who does the?
Kim.
She take care of the emails, changing the emails, or Calista? Okay, Calista says it's me. So Calista Rader will do that for you. Any other questions or comments?
I think people find that we're very accessible in the community.
Well, I know you are, because
We
I
hear a
talk
lot.
to you regularly about some of those conversations. So, very good.
You didn't even list the folks I see at the store.
and me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I should have added Walmart to that
Or
list.
ice cream.
Or ice cream, absolutely.